Time now for The Voice, our weekly feature where we're joined in the studio by the legend, the voice of boxing, Adam Smith, to take a look at the week's biggest stories. Smudger, it's good to see you.
It's nice to see you.
No, because you've got your catchphrase of yeah. So I have to ask you a question when the answer is yes. Are you happy to be here?
Yes.
Oh, honestly.
Really good. Really good.
Beautiful.
Thanks for coming in. You look well.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to see you guys, as always.
We got lots to talk to you about. But
growth is revised down from last year.
Hold on. I don't know what that was. I don't know what happened there. We've got lots to talk to you about. But it's been a... I don't know. Jackie sits on. Put the kebab down. But it's been a tough week for you. Of course, we had Ricky Hatton's funeral last Friday. You stood up at the service. And you spoke about the great man. That must have been incredibly tough for you. Incredibly tough. Firstly, on behalf of all boxing fans and just people of this planet, well done. Because at the best of times, that's such a difficult thing to do. But when you know the whole world is watching, it's even tougher. You're close friends with him as well. And I could see the pain in your eyes. I could hear it in your voice as well. I just thought you'd done a splendid job. He would have been incredibly proud of you.
Thank you. And thank you both for your support over the last few weeks. It's been a really tough time, and it's brought back a lot of memories of those early days at Sky where we rolled with him. He was just a wonderful, wonderful individual, character, and you saw the outpouring on Friday from the thousands that line the streets in Manchester to the many, many people in the cathedral from all walks of life, all different areas, celebrities, mixed with civilians, mixed with just a diverse... Manchester came to a standstill, and look, I was honoured to have been asked to do it by the family, and I was really nervous. I think it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in a public arena. I just wanted to talk about my mate, somebody I loved, but of course I wanted people to really remember how good he was as well. So it was sort of a professional, personal mix, and I don't quite know sort of how I got through it, but yeah, look, I'm glad I did, and it's been really nice to have had some lovely words about it, but it's not about that. It's about the day and the way that everybody was there for him. His children spoke harrowingly and incredibly bravely, and the service was beautiful, but tragic too. So it was a really, really tough day. I spent many hours at the wake afterwards with the family and his close friends, and yeah, lots of memories, of course, shared, but yeah, tinged with sadness, and lots of 10 bells at different events. It just shows the scale of it. We had GBM, we had Queensbury, we had Matchroom on Saturday night, where there was applause and one Ricky Hatton and all that. So, yeah, look, he's going to be remembered so fondly. The Ricky Hatton Foundation has been set up, which I think is incredibly important. And I hope I can help that and the family going forwards.
Smudge, the outpouring of love on the Friday was absolutely incredible. But is it because he was one of the people? We've seen so many boxers and celebrities get to a level and they almost forget about where they're coming from. Is it because he never did that, which is why people absolutely loved him? Absolutely right. He never changed. And I said in the eulogy that there was a time very early on in his career where we went on a drive together, and he said that, you know, he loved the mates from the estate and he never wanted to change. And I said, well, come on, the success, if you win the belts, win all the money, people do change. And he goes, if I did change, I just want to chuck all the belts back and give the money back, because he always wanted to be that person that, and the guys I spoke to at the wake afterwards were his mates since he was in primary school. And so he had those, plus he had the Gallaghers, plus he had the Freddie Flintoffs and the Phil Taylors, and then he had, you know, the whole of the boxing world there, the good and the great of boxing. It was phenomenal. Tyson Fury, Frank Bruno, Barry McGuigan, Amir, Kell, just everyone was there. And yeah, it was just an extraordinary day, because he was an extraordinary person and he never lost that human touch. He could relate with anybody, and that's why I think everybody felt they were a friend of his.
Smudge, when, I mean, we've all been to funerals, sadly, it's part of life, but when you go there, it's certainly my experience, when you start chatting to people, you hear stories about the person that sadly passed away that you never knew. Yeah. And everyone has a laugh and a joke. Oh, no, I'll tell you what. There must have been a few moments where you were hearing stories about Ricky that you just thought, wow, I've never heard that before.
There were. And actually, going back to sort of how good he was as a fighter, I mean, this was a young teenager when I met him who was an ABA champion, and Frank Warren had just signed him, and there were big things expected. But I'd known a little bit about what he was like at sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 as a young kickboxer. But I heard a couple of stories in the wake about how menacing he was, sort of even then as a youngster, and that his mates were saying this guy is going to be something absolutely spectacular, even at that age. And he wasn't even boxing at that point. You know, he turned into boxing a little bit later. But as a kickboxer, I think he was, you know, as violent in the ring as he was friendly outside of it. And I think that's what made Ricky. I remember going, you know, backstage with him just before ring walks, and he'd be really chatty and happy in the sort of hour before. But as he sort of walked towards that position before Blue Moon was bellowed out, that was the change. That was the move into the man in the ring, the venomous body puncher, the aggressive all action guy that we love to watch and cheer. And then as soon as it was finished, he was he was back with a pint in his hand and off to the curry house and back with his mates. It was extraordinary.
Well done. I know everyone's probably said that to you, but well done. You're a superstar above and beyond. It obviously wasn't easy, but
thank you.
Well done to you. Listen, you mentioned the 10 bells. They were played out, and they were played out before Dave Allen's fight at the weekend. You were there commentating on it.
Yeah.
I loved the fight. I absolutely loved the fight. We've got a WhatsApp group, all of us here on Team Drive, and I put in it, this is like a Rocky fight, because he was the underdog. He kept getting punched. And I was desperate for him to win the fight. And when the scorecard came, I don't know if I got carried away with it. I was like, I think he's won it. But then, of course, common sense prevails, and you actually he got beat pretty easily. But what a performance from Dave Allen. He was great, wasn't he?
It was a phenomenal night for him. A homecoming in Yorkshire. And 3 or 4 years ago, no one would have thought anything like this could happen. Yeah. So he's turned his life, his career on its head with the 2 performances against Johnny Fisher, and the fact that, a little bit like Ricky but at a much lower level, he's just one of us. He's just a great guy. He's fun to be around. He's brutally honest, searingly honest, and said he wasn't good enough. He just told me afterwards, he said Makhmudov was better than me, stronger, tougher. I wasn't good. I wasn't good enough. And I think that's why, by telling the truth like that, people absolutely flocked to Dave. I think the ring walk was one of the best I can remember in atmosphere terms, certainly this year. It was unbelievable, and he came out to my way, and it was just, yeah, and he just couldn't live up to that. The performance was a bit underwhelming. I think he'll look back at it and probably wish he sort of maybe could have thrown more punches towards the back end. But I think that Makhmudov's right hand probably had done a fair bit of damage by then, and he just didn't have it in the tank. There was a moment at the end of the 9th round where you thought maybe, but I think it took a lot out of Dave, that. And he got to the finishing line. Probably maybe try and win a British title before he calls it a day. But if he does call it a day and he comes our side of the ropes, he's brilliant with a mic in his hand. He's a wonderful trainer-manager and can inspire the next generation. So, yeah, the future's bright for Dave Allen. But I thought Arslan Makhmudov boxed well and deserved the victory.
So, Maj, you said it there. I was certainly one looking at the TV screaming at the end, throw more punches. But was it as simple as he just didn't have anything left? Because I still thought there were times where, I wouldn't say he really hurt him, but he looked like he was getting a little bit of success, but he could never really capitalise or build on that. Is that because literally he had absolutely nothing left?
Yeah, I think the tactics were always to suck up the punishment early from the big man, and he'd had, I think, 13 of his 19 knockouts in the first round, Makhmudov, so he was going to be dangerous for those first few sessions. But I think the idea for Jamie Moore and the team was to get him late, maybe with body shots, and just try and sort of wear him down. He had been stopped twice before, Makhmudov, but I think by the time that came, so much had been taken out of Dave that he just didn't quite have the snap, the stamina, and the punch power, I think, to deter Makhmudov, who got over the line himself, I think, in 11 and 12, and just sort of finished the show. But Makhmudov was a really good amateur, and I think on paper beforehand was probably expected to beat Dave. I think maybe quite a lot of people got sort of carried away with the emotion and the wash of it all, but Dave's been in with some tough guys and some top guys, and he loses, but he'll carry on.
Let me ask you about both fights. So Makhmudov has said that AJ slid into his DMs and asked for a fight. And also Dave Allen, I think, has thrown out the possibility of meeting Johnny Fisher for a third time. What's your view on both of those?
Yeah, look, the Johnny Fisher fight makes sense, doesn't it? The trilogy, one each. I thought Johnny was lucky to get it in Riyadh, but it was a great, brave performance to just, again, get over the line. Obviously, the rematch didn't go Johnny's way in front of his Copper Bosch crowd, but he did have 3 or 4 okay rounds. I think Dave came on in about the 4th and 5th and turned it on its head. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see that down the line. I think that's a possibility, or maybe the winner of the Fraser Clark TKV British title fight. That's sort of where Dave should be thinking of. And I mean, Jamie Moore said to me afterwards, they've got to think about, he's had 34 fights now, and does he need to box? But I think he looks in good mental and physical shape, Dave. So I think he will carry on, and I think that it might be good for him to sort of continue because, he was beaten by Makhmudov, but it wasn't an awful night. It was one that he was there, but just not quite good enough. So I think Dave can carry on. As for Makhmudov, I think Joshua would be a step too far. I think Joshua's too good for him, but he deserves a big fight on the back of that. He's come into the lion, came into the lion's den. I loved it when he got on the mic afterwards and said sorry to Sheffield. He's a lovable guy, and he's 36. If he gets a big money fight, good luck to him.
We're still joined in the studio by the legend that is the voice of boxing, Adam Smith. And we've got lots to talk to you, lots to cram into the last 10 minutes. Let's talk about a big fight, an exciting fight this Friday at York Hall in Bethnal Green. Tell me more about that.
Really, really like this fight. I've been excited about it since it was first announced. Kieran Conway against George Liddard. And why I love it is because it's a battle of experience. Somebody that's taken a couple of defeats, been on the road, had some tough times, but he's come back. He's taken the domestic title. Kieran Conway is a really good old-fashioned fighter who has that that knowledge, I think, and the rounds. But George Liddard could be the next big thing. He's undefeated in 12, 7 knockouts. And this is the big step up for him. Big gulf in age, 23-year-old to a 29-year-old. And it's just that classic matchup of somebody that's been there, done it. Can he go on to another level? Or the youngster, is it too soon? Or is this the moment that we all get to hear the name of George Liddard? Really, really interesting fight at the York Hall, Bethnal Green, which will be packed with Liddard fans.
How many could you get in there now?
I mean,
800?
I mean, no, more than that. You can get. Yeah, they've had plenty in there.
Now. Well, call one more squeeze.
Yeah, exactly.
How many? I think
1,000. Maybe. I think at times they've probably got 1,500 in there. I mean, it really is, and it's a cracking venue.
Have you been there, Benny?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Okay.
Spit and sawdust of British boxing. All the legends have come through there at some point or another. We mentioned Ricky earlier, of course, he's fought there. We had Johnny Tapia come many years ago, AJ. Everyone's fought there, and it's a real cauldron, and everybody gets a great spot in there, whether you're in the front row, up on the balcony, in the eaves. Right. It's a wonderful old building for boxing.
Charlie Maggery in there.
Yes,
down here often.
He'd be there. Yeah, lots of fighters always come down. You always see, and you see them. They have a place they like to be in the York Hall as well. It's a cracking venue for a fabulous fight.
It's great. I'll tell you a bit more about that before you leave, Smudger. Actually, let's look at a few other fights that are coming up. I'm very excited about Joseph Parker against Fabio Wardley. That's October the 25th. So what? 2 weeks away?
Yeah, it's a week on Saturday. We'll obviously talk more next week, but it's a really, really intriguing one. It's, I guess it's for the right to fight the man, Alexander Usyk, and Joseph Parker's been waiting his turn. He was meant to fight Daniel Dubois in Riyadh. Of course, Dubois pulled out, and at very, very short notice, we had Marcin Bakole come in, so Parker dealt with him, and then he's been waiting around, and he thought he was going to get the shot at Usyk, but of course, Alexander's taking a little break, as he's entitled to after that phenomenal performance at Wembley, and Parker's got to get on with it. He's got great momentum behind him with Andy Lee, and he goes in against the still undefeated Fabio Wardley, who of course got out of jail with that right hand at Portman Road to flatten Justice Hooney, who'd outboxed him almost the whole way through. So Wardley has that power, white collar fighter done good. He's a great story himself. He's got a brilliant chance of lighting up the O2 on Saturday week, but Joseph Parker's got to start favourite, and he's in such good form. The former world champion, I think he's in a better place than he was first time time around. So, yeah, it's going to be a cracking night.
Smudge, do you think inactivity might play its part, though? Because, as you said, I know Martin Bacoli was there, but let's be honest, he didn't really have to do anything because he showed up last minute after overweight. The last time he fought before that was March 2024. So it's been some time since he's been out the ring. Do you think that might play into Fabio's hands?
Yeah, the Wilder Zhang run. Before that, he had time out as well, where he was building himself up to this next phase of being a heavyweight. He's entertained us, Joe, hasn't he, with his music videos, and he's just one of the nicest guys in boxing. So too, by the way, is Fabio Wardley. Fabulous guy. I did an event with him in Ipswich, full of stories and tales. They're both great characters, and yeah, Fabio has been more active of the pair, but I don't think it will come down to that. I think Andy will have Joe in amazing shape. But then I was with Ben Davison the other day. He came to the funeral. I was talking to him at the wake afterwards, and Fabio's got a great chance in this. So it's a brilliant match for Queensberry, and it'll be a wonderful night on DAZN Saturday, the 25th of October.
Interesting, you mentioned his last win there at Portman Road. Good to see a win at Portman Road.
There was one last week.
I was there, the first one of the season.
What if Ed Sheeran's coming? He wasn't there because they're mates.
He don't live over now. He lives over in the States, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's a big Ipswich fan. He should be getting behind Fabio, no?
Just hop on a plane, can't he? He's probably got about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
A quick word about the following weekend. You've got Joshua Buatsi in action against Zach Parker.
Yes, that's a great fight as well. It's a great night actually in Manchester. Plenty on that night. It's the light heavyweights, and Frank Warren has just signed so many light heavyweights up. But also, as well as that, Joe Parker, Fabio Wardley, Joshua Buatsi and Zach Parker on November 1st at light heavyweight. We've also had the announcement today that Ben Whittaker's back because, of course, he's making his matchroom debut with Eddie. That's November 29th in Birmingham. So,
do we know who's fighting there?
I think, yeah, we do. He's fighting a very good fight. I think it's 22-1.
Wow. Name
just eludes me a sec, but yeah, he's in a step up. It's a good opponent, Aradzi, I think, and that's the NEC in Birmingham on the 29th. But the light heavyweight division is on fire now. While we wait for Bivol Batebiev 3, which will happen, and Callum Smith also returning. I saw him on Friday. He's coming back, I think, at the end of January. There is just an immense amount of light heavyweights underneath that. Willie Hutchinson looked fantastic in Scotland the other night. He's back in the mix. You've got some terrific talent in that division. So, yeah, and Frank's got most of those 12 stone 7 guys. Bar Ben Whittaker, who Ben and Eddie now are a double act, aren't they? We like those videos, didn't we?
Oh, well, yeah. Show me the money. That was fantastic. Good work. Let me remind you, we talked about it earlier on. This Friday, Kieran Conway puts his British and Commonwealth middleweight titles on the line against undefeated George Liddard at York Hall. You can watch that one live on Friday, only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Smudge, you're so good that if we could adopt you, we would.
Gavazzi.
But we bless you.
Fighting Ben Whittaker.
But oh, fine, okay.
Sorry, it doesn't mean anything to you probably, but just thought I'd.
I thought you were saying thank you.
There's so many announcements of fights today. Matchroom just put loads out, so he's trying to keep up with it. Honestly, everything changes in boxing.
Let's talk about them in more detail on next week's show.
Look forward to it.
Me too. Yes, more from Smudger next week. More from me and Bentley right after this, live on Drive.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.